And now it's the licensee section of the podcast. This month we are actually going to do a bit of a toy thing. We very rarely do toys in this section, but we are this time. We're actually going to do toys, and we're going to start with Tol Toys. Tol Toys began under the name of Alex Tolmer & Associates Proprietary Limited in the mid-1950s, led by Managing Director Alexander Richard Tolmer. Prior to this, Tolmer was sales manager with John Brent and Company. They sold die-cast models using the brand Brent Toys in Australia and Brent Ware in New Zealand. Ever heard of the hula hoop? No, not the crisp. The hoop-shaped toy, typically a hollow plastic tube that's kept revolving around the waist by swivelling of the hips. It got its name from the hula, a Hawaiian dance that is performed by using a similar hip motion. Although different variations of the hoop have been used as children's toys since ancient times, in the 1950s Alex Tolmer was the first person to market a version made from a then new material called plastic, after it became difficult to continue to meet demand with bamboo. In his Australian department store, Tol Toys, Tolmer sold hundreds of thousands of hula hoops. No, not the crisp. American entrepreneurs Richard Knurr and Arthur Mellin, the owners of the American toy company Wham-O, purchased American rights, but there's a sordid side to this story. In 1957 it was said to be Jonah Anderson who brought back a bamboo exercise hoop from Australia and came up with the name hula hoop at a dinner party. Her husband showed it to Arthur Spud Mellin and they agreed on a gentleman's handshake that they would share in any profits. But the company cut her out and they got nothing. In a recent documentary about the hula hoop, Anderson explains that because she and her husband failed to patent the device, they lost the lawsuit that they filed against the Wham-O Corporation after hula hoop became enormously successful. We were very naive as far as doing business with a company and giving over a product that made them millions of dollars, she says. Yet, Anderson doesn't hold a serious grudge against the man who robbed her of a potential fortune. The world isn't fair, but life goes on, she says. You win some, you lose some. I've had a great life. Happiness is definitely the best revenge. Prior to the release of Star Wars in 1977 and the subsequent rise of movie tie-in products, Tol Toys sold 75% of its business to General Mills Incorporated USA, and in 1975 became a fully owned subsidiary of General Mills. In 1977, General Mills entered the New Zealand market in a joint venture with New Zealand company Pearson Drum, and Tol Toys New Zealand Limited was incorporated as a company in New Zealand. General Mills, through Tol Toys, then started to market, distribute and in a number of instances manufacture a wide range of toys and games that soon extended to licensed Star Wars products. As a kid, I had no concept of what Australia was. I thought Australia was some part of Britain where they spoke funny. I really had no. The only because England played Australian cricket, I just thought they were just because Richie Benaud, he just had a silly accent, and Australia, thinking what on earth Australia? What's all that about? Didn't until obviously start getting educated. Didn't have any concept.
Did you think it was north or south of Leamington, Peter?
I thought it was kind of Norwich. Okay. I thought Australia was Norwich because they really did speak very strangely and very silly. So yeah, I just thought they were there from that. I didn't think they were millions of miles away, other side of the planet. And it was just like, oh, okay. And obviously, when I got older and what Australia was. But yeah, it was all. I blame the cricket because they all spoke the same as we did. So I thought, well, because you had the West Indies, you knew where that was. You had India, Pakistan, all that sort of stuff. Then you had this bizarre thing, Australia. So yeah, Australia. And of course, my beloved, now obviously criminal, Rolf Harris, was my favourite Australian until obviously it all went wrong.
You said it. You said the unmentionable.
I did. But I went to his birthday party. Can you believe it?
What?
This is obviously before the scandal, but when I was a full-grown adult, he had a big birthday party in London. Yeah, he had a.
And how did you get an invite?
It was just you just paid to get in. It was just his 60th birthday thing, and you could just go, and it was a big bash.
fantastic. It was like the old school TV show, where he used to like paint on the stage, do a big canvas on stage, and you go, what is that? What's he painting? And it turned into an amazing picture. There was no kids there. It was all drinking and laughing and
just as well.
Good time. Yeah, well, yeah, he is obviously.
Yeah. Didn't try and show you his extra leg, did he, Pete?
Well,
Oh, my God. My first memories of Australia were the Rolf Harris stylophone, which was obviously a very, very, very big kind of children's gift in the early 70s. And I think we had one, and a lot of people did. There was quite a big craze for that.
Did you make any music of it, or just hit it a lot?
No, we used to make music with that. It was you should go. It was kind of very acquired taste. But
I do not believe anyone got a tune out of that thing. I remember someone having it was rubbish, absolute rubbish.
I bought my brother one for his birthday once. He's musical. He got a tune out of it. But I did when my grandma died. She had a Rolf Harris print, and it was on like board, and it was just as you described there, Pete. It was one of those sort of giant pictures but miniaturized. I was trying to find out the origin of it. I don't know. I was hoping it was worth some money, and this was again before he'd gone to prison, but it wasn't worth anything. I suspect it's worth even less now.
Yeah,
but I've still got it. It just faces the wall rather than away from the wall.
Yeah, because the record on our family thing used to play over and again. We had all these old records. Mum loved music, and it was the Two Little Boys song. I know it sounds terrible now, but that was my favourite tune up until the incidents. And of course, obviously I just threw it away. But I was devastated. That song was just used to send shivers down my spine. That song, because it was all about brothers and brotherhood and all that sort of stuff, and it used to really like ring a bell. But it's why, Rolf? Why? You went to prison. You deserved it. Right, and Preston, you've not had many Australian memories there. You're put into your cricket or something, weren't you?
Not desperately into cricket, no. I mean, I can remember, Rolf Harris on the telly, as we all can. There was that funny lady, wasn't it, Dame Edna?
Oh, Dame Edna. Oh, yeah.
Yes, I did. I didn't realise for a year or two when I was very little that Dame Edna had a bit more going on than you realise.
What is it with drag acts? I mean, they were everywhere when we were kids, and no one really said too much. And these days, it seems to be a big deal. But then it was like, everyone's into drag. It's the way it is. Dick Emery.
RuPaul's Drag Race, Pete.
Oh yeah.
There was Clive James. Do you remember all the Clive James shows they used to do?
They were classics. Absolutely.
And who's who was like the TV editor that had the paper editor that had his own Derek Jameson.
Do they mean us? They surely do.
You've missed the most important show out to come out of Australia ever.
Go on, Richard.
Prisoner Cell Block H.
Lovely theme tune again.
It was shown at like 11 o'clock at night over here because it was so bad. But I loved that show.
It was great. It was great for when we're a bit older, but at college you come back and a few beers. It'd be on like 1 o'clock or whatever in the morning on ITV, and you just used to sit there laughing at all the wonderful drama. That old lady, was it Lizzie? What her name was? Oh my!
Lizzie was the ancient one, wasn't you?
Yeah. The old lady.
The main one.
Do you remember the sketch? I think it might have been Harry Enfield or somebody, where there was somebody operating the press mimicking B, and then a woman come in and her pants were bigger and she had bigger boobs. She came top dog, and it kept going on with new women, and each woman got bigger pants and bigger boobs to fetch this huge. It was absolutely hilarious.
But it was all linked to like the Australian kind of virtually everyone who worked on Neighbours and all those shows. You had like that Ian Smith guy who played, is it Harold?
Harold, yeah.
He was in it. He was in it twice, I think. He came back as another character because obviously they have a lot of actors. And do
you remember pre-Crocodile Dundee, the Paul Hogan show?
Yes, he's been Channel 4, wasn't it? Channel 4. Yeah. That was one of its early shows that they kind of launched with. Yeah, he was a saucy old tiger, wasn't he? Old Paul Hogan. I think he's still going, isn't he? Somewhere, he must be about 80 or something by now. But
not heard of him for a long time. But no, that was a little bit later on, wasn't it? Well, not vintage again, but Crocodile Dundee movies, and of course Neighbours. I can remember at university, Neighbours was absolute required viewing. We'd stop whatever we were doing, gather around the telly in the hall of residence, and watch Neighbours. And then some guys who'd had lectures would miss the lunchtime edition. So at 5 o'clock we watched it all again.
So was it 1985 apparently? So it's not on the edge of vintage there, on the edge of vintage. But yeah, everyone watched it. My mum watched it, I watched it, brother watched it, all watched it.
There's a Sullivan's, wasn't it, which predated that. It was always the lunchtime. If you day off sick from school, the Sullivans would be on, which is so my earliest memories of Australia. Really, I mean, surely there must be other programs rather than just soap operas. Did we not get anything decent?
Not really. There was like those doctor programs where they used to fly out in their little airplanes trying to pick people up in the bush.
Yeah,
Was it Flying Doctors?
It was Flying Doctors, yeah.
And what about Skippy?
Classic.
What's that, Skippy? Joey's fallen down the well again?
Always down that blooming well. Lock him up. There's all sorts of programs. Probably completely taken for granted where they came from because they're silly voices. I've got to say though, probably my favourite Australian thing or film or whatever, Mad Max.
Yeah, I was wondering if we were going to mention that.
Oh, Mad Max. I mean, all the films, I love them. All those films. Even the latest one is good. Right, before we move on, because we've done enough about Australia, there is a film you should try and check out. I've been trying to get on video because I think that's in place. It was one of those films my dad used to bring back from he used to work at Ford's in the foundry, and when VHS was a thing, and we finally got a VHS player after everyone in the world had got one. He started bringing back dodgy films and some good ones, some rubbish. But in the cases and everything, it must have been it must have been where video shops just turned them over and just got rid of them. And he's bought these videos back, and he bought this film back called Fortress, and it's not the one you're thinking of with some famous bloke in it. It's basically about a bunch of kids fighting back against these evil guys. It's one of the best films I've ever seen. We watched it. We watched it about 10, 15 times in a row. It was so good. I've been trying to find it. You can't get it on DVD, and I can't find it on DVD. But I did find it on video, but I missed out on auction. But try and check it out. It's called Fortress. Brilliant Australian film. I doubt if anyone's ever heard of it. It is the best next to Mad Max. Has a bit of Mad Max feel to it as well, but what a film. What a vintage film. About 83, 84, I want to say. But anyway, let's move on because
before we do, I've just got to put an honourable mention. And they are a vintage band, the great AC/DC.
Oh, I knew he was going to say
best thing ever to come out of Australia.
Let's talk Tol Toys. So, am I right in saying there was nothing particularly unique? I'm sure Richard's going to tell me there was. About this, it's mostly sort of repackaged stuff. But the most exciting part is probably the action figures. Now, we have one lunatic who wants to talk about carbacks because he does that. Now, Jason, just before we start, you go through it. You don't have to be comprehensive, but give us an overview. I was trying to find some Tol Toys on Star Wars Tracker and I'm not doing very well. So I'm assuming they're rare as hen's teeth.
The 12 and 20 backs are pretty rare, and even the later ones, the ones for Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, are now costing hundreds of pounds each. So yeah, I mean, they really have gone up in value, and there's a great range. I mean, the go-to site for all this stuff is toltoys.com, which has got articles from stretching all the way back to the mid 2000s. A really great source for all the stuff that we're going to go through was a presentation done at Chicago Collecting Track for Celebration called Tol Toys, an Australian Star Wars story by Brodie Walker, Ben Sheehan and Mark Salotti. And if you want in-depth coverage for all of the Tol Toys stuff, it's a 40-minute presentation and it's well worth 40 minutes of your time. I'm going to cover card backs from Tol Toys. It kind of started out with the existing Kenner 12 backs. They were released in Australia, but they had a very big bee in the bonnet about imperial versus metric measurements. So on the back of the card, where all the figures are listed and they're listed as being in inches, they put little stickers at the side, on the left-hand side, with the height of all the figures in millimeters, just so you knew, which is quite a unique thing. And again, I mean, it's like a lot of these things, they go from rare to extremely rare. That's a sticker I would like to have, which I don't have. The main line, though, they came out with the Star Wars 12 backs. They did Tol Toys versions of that. The first 5 mail-away figures, which were Vader, Chewie, R2-D2, Luke, and Leia, they came with on a card where basically the Kenner logo was replaced with the Tol Toys logo, but it's a kind of rounded logo on it, so it's got rounded edges. And then the rest of the 12-back figures, it was a rectangular logo that stretched to the edges of the card. A difference I hadn't noticed before. On the first 12 figures, Jawa isn't available on that, so there's only 11 figures you could get with the 12 backs on the back. And then when the 20 backs came out, that's when you could get the Jawa. And then you could also get the first 12 figures. And originally, when I was collecting these, it was a lot more easy to get the 12-back version than the 20-back version. And it's only recently, I think, that people have actually put together a run with all the first 12 figures as 20-backs. But as well as those first 12 figures, you also got 4 Cantina aliens on 20-backs. So you got Greedo, Hammerhead, Walrus Man, and Snaggletooth. So on the front of the card with the Tol Toys logo, those are the cards that you can get. Those cost hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of Australian, US dollars, whatever currency you're in, they're all pretty expensive now, like a lot of foreign cardback variants. Beyond that, there were also variations for Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. The first one being on the Empire Strikes Back 41-back survival offer, where on the back of the card, where the address would feature the Kenner address in Cincinnati, I think, there's one there with an Alexandria address on it, and I've got a 2-1B for that, which I'm very happy with. Also on the 41 back, there's a Forlom sticker offer, which is incredibly rare. So there's a round sticker that goes on the front of the card that says what the Forlom offer is, and then on the back of the card, there's a big rectangular sticker, which again has got the Alexander address on it. After that, there's a 45-back display arena offer card with an Alexandria address on the back. Again, I didn't really know about that one, and that one's quite rare. And then the one which is more common, probably the most common of the lot, is the Return of the Jedi Neon Num offer with the Alexander address on the back. The thing about that was they issued many more figures in Australia on the Neon Num offer than they did in Kenner. So that's quite interesting. The Kenner had a big rectangular coin offer sticker that went on the front of the card. In Australia, they had a square yellow sticker with the coin offer on it, and it was mostly on the 79 back, also appeared on the 77 and 65 back. And then after that, on Power of the Force, what happened at the end of the line, a lot of figures got sent to Australia and sold quite cheaply. And so you get Power of the Force carded figures that you can't actually get from Kenner in America. And the ones that you principally get in Australia were Nikto, Attack Driver, Gamorrean Guard, and then an Anakin and a Yak Face. Yeah, lots of interesting things to collect there. I'm probably, with my collection, I think I'm 2 card backs short of a run of Tol Toys 12 backs, and I'm missing a couple of the 20 backs. And I don't know if I'll ever get those. They will cost a lot of money now. But it's a great range of things, and it's a nice little focus thing to collect.
It must be quite a small market, because I had a quick look at what the population was of Australia back in the early 80s. It's about 10 million less than it is now. It was only about 16 million. So the market must have been fairly small, considering what you were selling here, what they were selling in the States and even Britain. We were. Yeah,
I mean, there's much less people, and there were much less cards produced. I mean, most of mine, most of my cards, my Tol Toys cards, I picked up in one group lot off Rebel Scum in about 2006 or 7, and I got basically 9 of them maybe in one shot from the Zen Collector back then. So, and some of them are incredibly rare. Some of them they haven't seen kind of mint on card versions of them.
I'm assuming the Tol Toys logo that's all printed, they use stickers to cover up something which no one would have given much of a monkeys about, really. How much are you going to struggle with inches to millimeters? I mean, who cares?
Well, these are things that they cared about. So
I know, but that's crazy, isn't it? I mean, how much did that take to put a sticker on every
it's
single
not just
card?
One. They put 12 stickers on the cards, so somebody must have done it. So the other thing, is it worth talking about Tol Toys New Zealand? Because they did have a little subdivision of Tol Toys called Tol Toys New Zealand, which is a couple of cards. So the main things about those cards are there's a 12-back card, I think, which is smaller than the Kenner variation. And then I think is it a 31-back card, which is actually taller. And then there's some kind of fairly unique stickers as well. So there was a kind of subdivision that they did for New Zealand as well.
Have you got any of those? That sounds crazy.
No, I don't have any of that. Again, those are...
Have you ever seen one?
In the flesh? No, I've seen pictures.
Let's Spoons. Now, you are the king. We are now the official king of Diecast, because you've written a website about it, so we are calling you the king of Diecast.
An impressive title, that. Thank you.
Yes, there are emperors, so you're not quite at the top. But you get king. That's pretty good, I think.
With Diecast, there's so little of it that, Jason there, huge amount of knowledge, loads of different cards. Diecast is easy. There's 3 diecast ships with the Tol Toys logo. So that's the wave 1 of ships, the Land Speeder, the X-Wing, and the TIE Fighter. So they each come on, from the face of it, a typical Kenner-looking card. But in the top right corner, you'd normally have the price sticker. They're basically a white box on the Kenner ones. That's gone, and they've got the Tol Toys logo up there. Very different from the 12-back cards that Jason's talking about. But nice Tol Toys writing up there. And then where the Kenner logo would have been and the LP logo at the bottom right corner, they have trademark information on the card there. So that's the key differences. Then turn it over on the back. There's also the trademark section on the back on the bottom right corner, and that's how you know you've got a Tol Toys card. They didn't do the Wave 2, so that's the large ships, the Falcon, Y-Wing and Imperial Cruiser. They didn't do the Empire Strikes Back ships either, but a bit like over here, they were for sale there. So you could get yourself a Kenner Slave 1. It wasn't with a Tol Toys logo, so there's no different, it's just imported stock as we'd see. But what's curious, and there's loads of oddities that come out from Australia, New Zealand, sort of that part of the world. A couple of years ago, Fabian de Neuville acquired, essentially on the face of it, a really rare TIE Fighter card, a Clipper card, but with the Meccano import sticker at the top. So really rare. He turned it over, and the back of it was a Tol Toys back. So it had the Tol Toys trademark thing. He didn't pay a lot of money for it. It looks really neat. It doesn't, the punch lines up really well. The wear around it lines up really well. There's nothing to suggest that it's random. Someone's put two really rare card front and back together to create this hybrid. It looks like it's done in the factory. So the question is, where are these Tol Toys carded things being made? Are they all being made in one factory that's got card fronts and backs for all different ships? There's also a similar thing with a Star Wars Kenner card, but with an Empire Strikes back on it. It's a mixed match of card backs for these die-cast ones. So maybe because they are in much smaller runs, they're being done in the same factory. It's an interesting thing. No idea the actual origin of it. People would question whether it's real or not. I wouldn't really be able to answer that, but it looks pretty good to me. And then there's all kinds of there's the Jason West threads on Rebel Scum with about the 79 backs. Loads of them you can only find in Australia. They're clearly getting different kinds of stock than the rest of the world's getting, but interesting nonetheless. But that's essentially Tol Toys. There's 3 ships, lovely cards, incredibly rare. I was lucky enough to pick up a sealed, very battered X-Wing not so long ago. Still on the lookout for a land speeder.
What's the upmarket price on those sort of things? Is that 4 times the amount, 5 times the amount?
They come up so rarely. I've never seen one for sale. The last ones that I'm aware of that sold on eBay were around about, I think, 600. They're in great condition as well. There's one of they've sort of slipped under the radar. They're an American eBay Tol Toys cards. They were around about $300 each. Someone picked them up on eBay for $300. Collector bought them for $600 off that person that just bought them sort of weeks later. And then I think they were then moved on maybe 2 years later for the 1,000 mark. And at the time, if you'd bought, the Kenner equivalent would probably be like the $150 mark, maybe $200. Everything's sort of creeped up a bit over lockdown, so I wouldn't be sure what they would change hands for now. You're probably right, Pete. Yeah, at least 4 times, if not 5-6 times, what the Kenner equivalent would cost. And that's if you can find them. They don't turn up. People go mad just for a card back.
What do you think of the Tol Toys logo? I just sort of staring at it. Is anyone else being wound up by that S? I think Tol Toy looked much better. The S is just a little bit kind of like hanging on at the end there.
Yeah, it's like, so I know what you mean. The bottom of the S should be further to the right, shouldn't it? But it's...
exactly. I mean, you've got the lovely round O's and then this silly snaky S. It's like, come on, guys, you could have just done a normal S there that kind of like cut in on the Y like the T's are and made it look really nice. But I don't know, they failed there.
They made it into one of those killer Australian snakes for you, Pete. You see that?
They have snakes.
Terrified of going there.
Oh yeah, well exactly. I'm not going there. My half sister was living there for a few years. I was going to go over there. Then she came back, got divorced, and came back. So I saved me having to go out there. Say hooray! Richard is going to blow our balls clean off with some Tol Toys information. So drum roll, please. What is it, Richard? What have you found?
Well, Tol Toys is quite infamous, I suppose, for an amazing Toy Fair catalogue. So page 32 has some action figures in there. So at the top, we've got Luke and Leia as 12-inch. Okay, so why am I highlighting those two?
Why are you highlighting these two? Well, they don't look the same as the main dolls. They look very different.
They're prototypes. The heads are actually from other toy lines. They are not Luke and Leia. The clothes and accessories are also very different to the final product.
His belt's wacky, isn't it? He's got his lightsaber in like a pirate sword.
Pirate sword.
And he's got a white utility belt like the Stormtrooper.
Look at the action figures. Now, this is where your mind is going to be blown.
What is that?
There's quite a lot to discuss there, isn't there? We'll just start off with Vader, Luke, and Ben first of all. So why have I referred to those three? They are double telescoping lightsabers, and I'm led to believe by reading Rebel Scum, they are mushroom-tipped ones. Okay, so that's a special kind of prototype DT saber. Have a look at Ben.
It's got a different colour cape on. Is it a darker brown?
His cape is incredibly dark brown, chocolate brown cape. Very distinctive cape on there. Now, Pete, I know what your attention's immediately drawn to. Have a look at the Jawa first. I mean, what is that?
It looks like a Kenner designer's sock to me.
Going to the back there, so we've got the Tusken Vader. But then one to the left.
Is that going to be Death Squad Commander?
That's the Death Squad Commander.
He's wearing flares.
Fisher-Price man with a Stormtrooper helmet.
So as a kid, if you purchased that, where would you match that up in the movie? The Death
I'll
Trooper.
tell you what, Rich, the Tusken Raider is brilliant. I love that kind of really
awesome,
kind of grainy cloak. It looks like he has literally walked off out the desert. It's showing us his face very well, and his sticks. It's all right.
I'm going to send you page 33 now.
But not be porn.
Because it gets better. Page 33 there, we've got some amazing shots of some prototype vehicles. You all got that?
Yeah, those are all prototypes, aren't they?
Yes. So the Land Speeder prototype vehicle is a bit longer than the final product, as noted on the SWCA. Differences including no pop-up button, no seats, different coloured and detailed interior, moulded piece on the hood, highly detailed paint job, no apparent hinges. The Land Speeder, I forgot this right, guys, the Tol Toys Land Speeder, isn't that the one with the stickers for the grills on the side? The actual stickers. Yeah, I thought so. 3 die-cast vehicle spoons, very early prototypes.
Yeah, that's really interesting because Justin Lee sent me a copy of a Tol Toys, the 1980 catalogue, which has got crazy prototypes of the Empire Strikes Back Series 3 ones, but I hadn't seen those early ones for the Star Wars ones, so I think I might add that to Justin's article. I'll send you a copy of these Series 3 ones, because they don't look like the ships, half of them.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what makes them quirky.
Star Wars, I'll just put something vaguely spacey.
Yeah, exactly. Pete, I'm coming to this one because this one is the one that's going to make you go, oh my God, where's this been all my life? And this is page 37. Is that some of the descriptions, as noticed in the SWCA, are absolutely hilarious. Now look at R2-D2, not just for bopping, R2 is for loving. I mean, just who on earth came up with that? It was just
it all becomes clear. You're not having an illicit relationship with R2-D2.
No,
that is an uncomfortable shape for that kind of level of information. Really, very sort of saucy.
If you read the plush, what child could resist a cuddle with this soft, lovable character?
Yeah, I'm sure kids are queuing around a block for a cuddle with that.
Who could resist their very own Wookiee?
That is basically Jason after he hasn't shaved for a week.
I think this catalogue, it's a gold dust, really. It's a very fantastic item to, have some very, very good high-resolution scans and some great discussion on it. I think I remember reading an article from maybe as far back as 2000 in Rebel Scum with the guy who first scanned these images in. Sadly, his website's completely gone now. And this is why it's important that the SWA and places like that are still keeping going. Because these images, might have ultimately got lost, or at least, took a long time to be rediscovered again. We've heard of prototypes being found in Australia, we've heard of things like that before and things that shouldn't be there. Would these have gone down to Australia, or would it have just been the photographs?
Yeah, I think it's more likely to be the photographs.
Yeah, I agree. Mm-hmm.
Why are they getting such early? Are they sending them by ship? Is it taking them 6 months to get there? What?
Probably did.
It's crazy, isn't it? I mean, I love it. Particularly that Tusken Raider. You see that, that's brilliant. I want that. And then you get this thing with a crappy plastic cape on it. It doesn't look anything like that. You'd probably be pleased with the Death Squad Commander, to be fair. But yeah, some of these other things, the prototypes are fine. Like that laser rifle, that's fantastic, isn't it?
Hazard a guess that this is early product photography that was never intended for catalogues, and somebody at Kenner sent this down to Tol Toys and said, this is what you're going to be getting further down the line. And maybe Kenner forgot to send them anything else. So when it came to putting out the catalogues, that's it. Well, these are the images. That must be what we're getting.
Or did it get lost in post?
It could be.
But then it's weird, isn't it, though? Because, I mean, I've only got the diecast page from the 1980 Tol Toys catalogue. But the fact that exactly the same thing is happening there, that says there's more reason to it than the off chance. So the 78 one, they've sent all these early photos because they haven't got anything else. Why are they doing exactly the same in 1980? Do they not think, well, actually, we'll fly about this time, or we'll prepare a little bit better? Because I've never seen those images, those Series 3 images anywhere else. I've never seen those Series 1 images from the 1978 diecast ships anywhere else. There are prototype ships out, but they're not those ones. You tend to see the kind of polystyrene ones on the back of the card backs. So they are really early, those.
I'm just wondering whether it was this might be like some sort of toy fair or something, or toy expo, because the way the descriptions are written doesn't sound like it's trying to advertise it to kids as much. It sounds like it's information for maybe a salesman. I don't know.
Well, also the information says the Slave 1 says it's with removable wings and a non-removable Boba Fett. The wings aren't removable on Slave 1, so it's complete design change there.
Yeah, but I mean, just reading those gun ones, it just sounds like that's something, information for a salesman, rather than, hey kids,
maybe
cool stuff, because you would have things saying, this gun is cool and it does this. Not the authentic laser sound is activated by pulling the trigger. That sounds like a salesman thing.
They
to an extent, not completely.
I know what you're saying, but they were pretty dull, the text. They are dealer catalogues, though, Pete. That's the thing. They're not catalogues that are going to you. You're not getting posted to your mum. She's buying you your Christmas present or birthday.
Exactly.
These are going to the toy shops, etc. So they are more descriptive for that very reason, I suppose.
Yeah, so I think I told you, or told everyone years ago, when at a toy shop, when our toy dealer showed us the catalogues for the micro collection, we were like, oh, what's this? It looks amazing. But obviously it never came out over here. But that's why I was always obsessed with them, because we saw them in a catalogue. And it was his sales catalogue. So this is what's coming soon, guys. And, we were like, wow, that looks brilliant. Of course, it never happened. But I was stuck in my head. That's why I always wanted to get a couple of sets because of seeing them as a kid.
That's a very good segue, Pete, because micro collection, Australia got that, didn't it? The special offers but the Tol Toys special offers. I don't know if Andy was going to speak about them. I certainly don't know much about them, so I will be winging it. Why did Australia get those and not us?
I mean, they weren't Tol Toys badged, though, were they? They must have been Kenner boxes and just imported for sale in Australia.
The boxes are different. The most detail I can find on micro collection and Tol Toys is on the good old Imperial Gunnery Forum, and Aussie James, who we've also mentioned from the Variant Villain, he's got a great post on there showing off his collection, asking questions. So there's these are clearly rare items. There's not the full set of ships and play sets are released with the Tol Toys. So the difference between the Tol Toys boxes and the Kenner American boxes is essentially the Build Your Armies address. With the Kenner Americans, you can send off for loose figures. You get like a pack of Imperial Stormtroopers or Rebel soldiers, and you great little iron cannons, great little sets, but you send off for those. And clearly, if the boxes were just sent over to Australia, everyone will be sending off to an American address. So rather than just put a sticker on the back, as we saw over here with the Colville addresses sometimes put on the back of Kenner 3 3/4 inch cards, they actually just redid the boxes with Australian addresses on. And inside the boxes are instructions with Tol Toys clearly written. So the boxes have Kenner on, but the instructions say, Tol Toys, which makes them part of the Tol Toys family, as far as I'm concerned. And so what you could get were the snow speeder, and there's variations on that. I think it's to do with the picture on the front showing what comes in the box, whether it's the shape of that's my understanding. We can get the snow speeder, the X-Wing fighter, and the Millennium Falcon. Now the Millennium Falcon differs in a bigger way to the rest of the box. The Millennium Falcon is a great micro collection box. Actually looking at this, I'm makes me really sad that I've sold all mine. I want to buy them back. But on the back of the box, rather than having the Build Your Armies offer, there's just a big square blank red section where the address would have been, because that's not a box that they're doing that offer on. So that's where the difference is there. Jameson also has the Hoth Wampa Cave, the turret defense, and the Hoth generator attack. There isn't an iron cannon set there. He's not asking about that one, but he does ask, can anyone confirm there's a carbon freeze chamber? So this is from 2011, might well have been proved by now or not. I don't know that. But he's asking if there's a carbon freeze chamber. He's not asking if there's an iron cannon. So either he knows it doesn't exist or he just doesn't own it. I suspect it's probably the latter, but I'm not sure on that one. And then he's got the Death Star escape, Bespin control room, and a Bespin gantry. Clearly not as many sets available as in the US. There's no TIE fighter there either. He's got the generator attack, hasn't he? Oh, the Death Star compactor. He hasn't got the Death Star compactor as well. So I wonder if that's another rare one, because again, he's not asking about whether they exist or not. The actual text on the back where it differs, it says distributed in Australia by General Mills Creative Products on the back, and it's got Build Your Armies promotion, PO Box 72, Alexandria, New South Wales 2015. Offer expires January 31st 1983. The difference with the instructions is it's basically got a booklet in showing what you can get. So it's got Death Star trash compactor not available, so you can't get that with the Tol Toys. It's got Death Star World not available, and I assume that's because it comes with the Death Star trash compactor. Death Star Escape does come, and again, we really do care instructions. Tol Toys Service Department, PO Box 187, Alexandria, New South Wales 2015. So that's there's very subtle differences on those. I think if you just saw those boxes in the wild, if you weren't an expert in these things, I doubt you'd spot it. I certainly wouldn't. But very interesting nonetheless, and I feel inspired to pick me up some Tol Toys micro collection now.
Oh dear,
that costs a fair bit.
I don't know if family want you to buy that stuff. They want cars and houses instead.
Holidays, yeah, that kind of rubbish. They don't last forever, do they?
Okay, right. Should we let Mr. P rifle through the rest of the stuff?
Yeah, we moved away from the action figure line, hadn't we? But just to rattle through that very quickly. And again, it's a bit of a random assortment in terms of what they got and what they didn't. Star Wars line, so this is playsets, vehicles, etc. The only vehicle they had was the Land Speeder. The Land Speeder came not only in a regular box, there was also a special offer stickered box.
Ooh.
So similar to the yellow stickers that were used by Kenner, this is a special offer, mini action figures included, and apparently with your Land Speeder you would get Luke Skywalker, R2-D2 and C-3PO. And
very Australian looking machine though, isn't it, the Land Speeder?
Well, it is.
You easily be in the outback with that.
You could. You could see one of those popping up in Mad Max, couldn't you? There's also a New Zealand variant of the Land Speeder. Very similar box, but with a New Zealand address on rather than an Australian one. They also got the special offer Patrol Dewback. Now, that's a Star Wars box, but obviously the special offers, assuming this is the same as the Kenner special offer Dewback, the collector series, that was 83. I've got nothing more to go on that, whether that was the original 79 release with a special offer, or again, information has let me down on that one. But the other thing that they got from the Star Wars line was the Death Star, and this was the cardboard version.
The proper one.
The proper one, the same as we got in Britain and in Europe and in Canada. So this is the cardboard or chipboard Death Star. It's basically the same as the standard Palliser one that we all know about. The Australian version came within a Tol Toys box, but it was the standard box that we know. So there were flaps on the ends of the box, and you sort of slid the parts of the playset out from within the box. Tol Toys logo on the front of the box. Also on the base of the playset, on the reverse, there's a picture of the 12 figures. There's the Tol Toys logo instead of the Palatoy. The New Zealand version is a little bit different because the box comes in two parts. So rather than having a one-piece box with the flaps on the ends, this is a box where you've got a tray which the parts sit in, and then a lid which comes down on top of the tray. Distinctive thing with the New Zealand Death Star.
Yeah, sounds very posh.
There we go. So moving on very quickly, Empire Strikes Back. Again, as far as the information I've got here is concerned, the only Tol Toys logoed product that there was the Imperial Attack Base. And nothing at all for Return of the Jedi, would you believe?
Really? They must have had stuff, but I guess not.
They must have had stuff, but Kenner boxed, I imagine, and imported. Nothing with the Tol Toys brand on. They also got the other Kenner products, and these were all rebadged with the Tol Toys logo. So there was the laser pistol, not the rifle. The large-sized action figures, they had Boba Fett, Darth Vader, Luke Skywalker, and Princess Leia. Then an assortment of other bits and pieces, and we're now getting into the Beyond the Toys stuff.
There's some lovely bits of tat which you know.
Yeah, and again, really random what they got and what they didn't. So 3 board games, again, very similar to what we all know and love. So go through these very quickly. The Adventures of R2-D2, Destroy Death Star, Escape from the Death Star, just rebadged with the Tol Toys logo. They had the masks, the plastic masks. This one's a bit interesting, actually. Britain, America, various other territories got various different art sets. But this, as far as I know, is unique, or a certain unique packaging to Tol Toys. So they had a painting design book. Black background with the Starfield, Star Wars logo with the Luke and Leia logo on the front, a lad in a red jumper painting in a scene with some TIE fighters. This had 16 pages of Star Wars adventures and 6 poster paints with brush. But it's the back of the box that I really love, because this has got some instructions, not to the child, but to mother. So get this, on the back of the box, it says, "Dear Mum." The kids are sure to have a lot of fun with the Star Wars painting design book, but it won't be much fun for you if they make a mess.
Oh my goodness.
So before they start, make sure you spread out some newspaper on the floor or tabletop. Also, because the paints may stain some fabrics, the children should wear an old shirt or smock over their good clothes.
That's incredible.
With your Star Wars painting design book are paints in resealable containers. Simply remove the cap and you're ready to go. If the paints begin to dry out, add a few drops of water to the container to restore original texture. So there we go. Instructions,
Crikey.
Not to the child, not to dad, interesting, but to mum.
Gotta be out working, mate. They'll be getting kangaroos and all that.
Yeah, sheep shearing, or that's what they'll do in Australia, isn't it?
Very Australian sounding.
There we go. So, I love that, the painting design book. They also got the Give a Show projector. Now, projectors were available again in various territories. This is very, very similar to the one that was put out by Chad Valley in the UK. Very, very similar box, but with a Tol Toys logo. Very different from the US one. The R2 Bop bag. And then there was a series of jigsaw puzzles, 5 or 6. And these are all on similar backgrounds. You've got R2-D2 and C-3PO in the throne room on Yavin on a blue box, 140-piece puzzle. Han Solo and Chewbacca in the Death Star hangar firing their blasters. Again, blue box, 140-piece puzzle. There is another 140-piece puzzle with Luke and Han in their Stormtrooper outfits in a trash compactor. That's a black box, 140-piece puzzle, and then 2 500-piece puzzles, one of Luke on Tatooine, red box, and one of a dogfight between an X-Wing and a TIE fighter, and again, a red box. So there we go. Those are the jigsaw puzzles. I'm just looking through my notes. Is there anything here that I have missed?
Toothbrush.
The toothbrush. Pete, do you want to tell us about the toothbrush?
Not really. It's just very... I couldn't find a picture of it, so...
I couldn't find a picture of it on its card, but I do have a card back, and it's basically the electric toothbrush that Kenner released, but with a Tol Toys logo. So blister card, a lad in a yellow jumper happily brushing his teeth, and then some pictures of the characters underneath. There we go. I think says he go through very quickly. That just about covers it.
I think that's enough. I think the highlights was the toys really. So yeah, good roundup, guys. Very good. Anyone else else to say? No, brilliant. And we'll do another one next month.